Alright, so welcome back here everybody. And in this lesson, continuing where we left off in the last lesson, we're going to go ahead here and just start shaping our body. Let me go ahead and just turn off my dynamic for my ZBrush brush there. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead here and shape our body because this is just a little bit too thin for me. Okay, you can see that we obviously have our eye set up. But we do need to come in here and shape our body, and to do this we're just simply going to use our move topological brush, which can be found under your brush menu. And you just click here and go ahead and grab your move topological brush. I use the move topological brush simply because it tends to give me a little bit more accurate moving rather than just using the move brush. Okay, so we'll just make sure that we have a large enough brush here to go ahead and move our geometric structure. You can see that I also have the symmetry on here. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here and slowly manipulate the body into the shape that's going to make me happy and that I'm going to be happy with here. So just try and round this out a little bit. And if you want, you can always, use your smooth brush as well, simply by holding down shift. I just want to try to get this rounded out a little bit, and then we'll just slowly start sculpting our body as well. So it just takes a little bit of patience to go ahead and get a shape that you're going to be happy with. This is more of a slug type character than anything else. But the idea here is, at least try to add some comedic flavor to it. We don't want something that's so hard edged. We want them to be somewhat gooey as well. Because we're really trying to design something that would be funny whenever it would be animated. So we have to think, is there going to be squash and stretch? Is it going to do this and do that? So there's just a lot of things that we need to make sure that we capture, not only for the face but for the body here as well. Okay, so I'm just taking a look and trying to manipulate this shape just a little bit. So I can probably pull that up, pull this down. If you have to, you can always go ahead and shrink your brush size down. Okay. You can always grab our Damien standard brush and start cutting in the body here. And it looks like I'm going to need to pull this down just a little bit more. Maybe I'll go ahead and pull out the sides here a little bit. Kind of fatten them out a little bit here. so he looks a little more sluggish, and a little more round, rather than being so thin. So a lot of this is just going to be playing with the shape mainly, just to try and get something that's funny looking. And you can see here where I'm switching between the Move topological brush and the Damien standard brush here. That's going to be too much to inflate here for where his neck is attaching to the body. So I'm just trying to inflate this a little bit. I'm just going to slowly add some creases here onto the neck. And then I can go in and play with the shape a little more as needed. You know, definitely don't follow exactly what I'm doing. You know, you definitely have to have your own artistic freedom and do your own creation method here. The idea is just basically to come up with something that is gonna make you laugh, and if you figure and think, you know, if it makes me laugh, then somebody else is probably gonna enjoy what we're doing. Okay, so let's come in here and continue working on the body here. And maybe we'll go up one more subdivision level there. And we're still not necessarily super high in terms of the actual polygon count and the geometric structure, so maybe we should go ahead here and move this back a little bit. Try and round that out. Okay. We'll come in here and just grab our Damien standard brush and work on his body a little bit more here. So you can see where it just takes a little bit of freedom and time to go ahead and get all this stuff basically where you want it. That's going to be too much on the pinch brush. Probably should add a little bit more there. you'll notice that I'm definitely trying to keep this mesh one piece, simply because it would make it easier for a rigger to go ahead and actually rig it later on, and it's definitely going to be a complicated shape because you're going to have to figure out how it's going to move, and how you would want it to move, and that's a bit of the challenge in this. So let's take a look here and see if we can go ahead and throw a couple alphas on the body and see what this is going to look like here. And we'll just use our drag rect. And we're definitely going to have to go up another subdivision level here. And maybe before we go ahead and do that, let's go ahead and add some more shapes to the body here. Because right now it's still a little bit plain in terms of the actual overall shape. So maybe I want to go ahead here and add a couple different shapes to the body here. And to do that, we can just simply append a sphere. Okay, we'll take this sphere and we will just move it. Okay, and I'm just going to move it here, and I'm going to go ahead and scale it down a little bit. If I can actually get this to scale right here. Okay, we'll take our move topological brush. And we'll just play with the shape a little bit. And we can always Z-remesh that as well, because if we take a look at our geometry is fairly large there and fairly high, so we'll just go ahead and do a quick Z-remesh for that little piece. And actually we can probably do it a little bit better here. We'll go ahead and just simply decimate it real quick. Okay, so there you can see where our geometry has been decimated, and then we'll just take our Z-remesher and quickly just Z-remesh that, and we'll just go ahead and cut it down. And you can actually see that there's a hole in our geometry there, so we'll go ahead and just dynamesh it, make sure that it closes that hole. And we'll go ahead and just make sure that we smooth this out. Okay, go ahead and turn Dynamesh off. We'll go ahead and Z-remesh. Take a look at our geometry. Let's go ahead and cut that in half because that's a little bit higher than I wanted. And we'll do it again until we get a low enough geometry. And we're gonna have to go one more maybe. We can probably even go one more. Okay, so there's our Z-remeshed geometry. And we'll just close this geometry tab. Subdivide twice or so there. Go ahead and smooth that out. Let's play with the shape a little bit. And maybe we'll go ahead and scale it down as well. Okay. And we'll take our move brush. Just try to move that into position there. Or I'm going to be at least somewhat happy with it. Okay. And I want to go ahead and maybe put another one on this side as well. So what I'll do, I'll just come up here to our plugin, take my subtool master. I'm going to mirror this in the x-axis, and I'll merge it into one. You can always even append it as a new subtool, which is probably a smarter thing to do because I want to have at least more than two. So we'll just go ahead here and just mirror that over. Okay. And then we'll just switch back here to our original. And we'll go ahead here and duplicate this. And we can go ahead and move this as we want. Okay, so we can merge these two together. So we'll just simply merge down, hit OK. So those two now become one single mesh, and we have that original one where we can go ahead and move it as we want. Okay, so we'll just simply try and find another place to go ahead and put this. And if we want, we can, let's try and see what will happen if we rotate this. And we'll go ahead and just maybe try and place that in the middle. Maybe we'll rotate it backwards there. And we'll go ahead and duplicate that one. Go ahead and move this one back. Okay. And maybe we'll do one more, so we'll go ahead and duplicate this one as well. We'll move this one back. And we'll just have to maybe throw that in there. I'm going to have to rotate it just a little bit. Go ahead and put that one there. Okay, so those look fine. And we will go ahead here and duplicate this one. And there's definitely a fine line here between having enough and having too many. Okay, so maybe this will be our last one here. And we'll go ahead and throw this in here. Maybe we'll rotate this out. Maybe rotate it around a little bit. And try and put it in a position where it's going to look a little odd. So maybe we should go ahead and scale that down a little bit. And you can see that that's not actually sitting inside the mesh. Okay. So now what I want to do is go ahead here and merge all of these down so that they're one specific mesh. You don't necessarily have to. I'm just going to go ahead and do that to save space. So we'll just go ahead here and merge these down. So they're all going to be one specific mesh. Okay. And we'll just go ahead and jump up to subdivision level 4 for those. Okay, so that's starting to come along here fairly nicely. Okay, let's jump back to our main body here, and we're going to go ahead and play with the shape a little more here. And we can always come in here and just take our Damien standard, start working on our neck connection here. And go ahead and turn our intensity down there. And what I want to do here is just inflate the portion where our neck is attached to our body a little bit. So we'll just start inflating, smoothing back a little bit here. Okay. And if we wanted to, we can always take an alpha and really draw on our body to really add some extra wrinkles here. So we can always go ahead and maybe grab that alpha, take our spray stroke, just go ahead and go up a subdivision level here. Definitely going to have to turn the intensity down there. Okay, so that's not necessarily reholding its shape too well. Or you can always do the drag out method and use maybe that alpha and see what happens here. Just try and grab an alpha here. And just run through the body. And this is because our subdivision level is still a little bit low. And I'm just thinking, you know, maybe we shouldn't go ahead and do this just yet. We'll come back and go ahead and work a little bit more here on the neck. To add a little bit more detail for that. So come on back and we'll begin working on our neck.